Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with Blackest Nights, Issue 2. And we just continue the spooky season with this horrific event that was both awesome and just macabre all at the same time. We pick up where Blackest Nights Issue 1 left off with the Atom talking to Hawkman about how he still loved his wife even after the murders that she caused an identity crisis. But we can see that Carter Hall is no longer the same. We just see a very foul-looking close-up of a mouth saying, "Come on over, Ray. Let's talk." And then we return again to Gotham City. And again, I've talked about this, but just to kind of bring you guys back up to speed. Final crisis, Batman, quote-unquote, died. And so this moment is absolutely phenomenal. We see Jim saying the sky seems so much darker tonight. I'm afraid to turn it off. And Barbara goes, "Then don't, Dad. Leave it on." I've got that same awful feeling. What feeling? And you can just see the weight of his profession and things that he's seen just coming crashing down on him. And he goes, "The same feeling I had when Batgirl disappeared. No one knew exactly what had happened, but everyone knew it was bad. And there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it then either." And I kind of like how Barbara answers him without answering him. She goes, "When I was in physical therapy, there was a sign on the gym wall that read, 'No matter how dark the night gets, the sun still rises in the morning.' Every day I'd wake up 2 hours before dawn. Back then it would take me that long to get into my chair, clean up, and go outside to watch the sunrise. But I did it. And I still do. I love life, Dad. I love every single day." She goes, "I brought enough coffee to last until sunrise. You're an amazing person, you know that? Like father, like daughter." So I kind of like in a sense that she gives him some peace about Batgirl without revealing anything. And it's just a very beautiful moment between father and daughter. But as we've been reading, it gets interrupted with the battle of the Martian Manhunter and Hal just getting smashed right into the bat signal. And the artwork, even though you can see the pain in Hal's face, gorgeous piece of art, and just a great way to introduce the next part of this series, which leads us into Jeff Johns' writer, Ivan Reyes doing the pencils, O'Clair Albert with Julio Fernandez inks, Alex Sinclair colorist, Nick J. Napolitano doing the lettering, Adam... Oh my God, let's try to do this name. Adam Schlingman, associate director, and then there's everyone else working on the book. But I just love that they put top talent on this book. And again, this was probably one of the last events back in the day that I was excited about, because even though you can get event fatigue, this one at least made sense. And the writers that were on it made it a point that you knew what was going on without feeling lost or having to go read 600 other books. They did their best to cram as much information as they could into this series, which leads us to Amnesty Bay, where Mira and Garth go to pay... Well, so they go to repay their respects to Arthur, but Gar is pushing that Arthur be returned to Atlantis and be buried among his people. And Mira finally acquiesces and says, "If bringing Arthur's remains to the tomb of Atlantis will earn you their acceptance as the new king, if that's what you want, I will support it. But the grave's been desecrated." And I just love how he says, "My enemies can't hurt me anymore, Garth." And this is where we see Arthur Curry as a Black Lantern. Your king who would rather be buried in the mud next to his human father than his own people. Your king who was hunted as a child because of his ties to the surface world. And then we go back to what we were talking about, where the Black Lanterns can see what emotional thing people are feeling, and we see fear and their power levels slowly increasing. And I love why that's happening. We jump over to Gotham again, And it says, blackest nights from the skies. The darkness grows as all light dies. We crave your hearts and your demise. By my black hand, the dead shall rise. And so it does feel a little corny that each lantern gets their own saying, but it makes sense to have them. But anyway, what I liked about this is we kind of get Boston Brand, where he's just like, stay dead, and he's laying on his tomb. But even though he lives, his corpse rises. And then the other part that I liked is we come over now to Washington, D.C. Hank Hall of Earth, rise. And then while they're trying to get, remember Hawk and Dove, it says Dawn Hall of Earth. Dawn Hall of Earth at peace. Dawn Hall of Earth. Dawn Hall of Earth. Dawn Hall of Earth at peace. At peace. And so we see that the black lanterns can't penetrate his grave. And you're like, what the hell's going on? And then we see a voice that says, so it's same old, huh, bro? Hawk's got to do all the dirty work himself. Now, remember this. There's an issue of Blackest Nights that I got to hunt down. I can't remember if it's, I think it's Titans. But there's an important tie with Dove. So just keep that in mind. And then this one, as where the last issue kind of focused more on the Manhunter versus Flash versus Green Lantern. This one is more of the Aqua family fighting against each other. We see certain members come back like Tula. And he's just like, I found a new Aquaman. No, Dolphin. Garth was mine first. And he's like, Tula, you told me I was your only love, Garth. And you said the surface world would embrace me as Aqua World. Then you let me drown in their toxic waters. You weren't a very good boyfriend. And poor Garth just gets the shit ripped out of him. And while all this is happening, Arthur is just like, do you still miss him? Do you miss our son? I demand you answer me. Arthur never demanded anything from me. And so everyone's saying, draw your weapons for Atlantis. And then I love how he says, I am still your king. And so we see the dead. And I don't know if this is supposed to be real wildlife or this is like dead sharks from the water. But just the way they tear down these Atlanteans is just vile. And then we get into the Justice League Dark. And they're trying to figure out what ramifications this is going to have on the magic community. And something happens with the Spectre that kind of takes him out of commission, and it basically says, I want Hal Jordan back. And I love that they actually decided to go old school 90s splash page. Just a gorgeous piece. But again, you start to see everything that is happening across the DC universe, and you're just thinking, God, who else is going to rise? What else could possibly happen? The Flash just getting nailed left and right by the Martian Manhunter, which leads Hal Jordan to saying, I need to borrow your car. Now, what I like is how Hal respects the commissioner, but he basically says, what happened? And he goes, Barbara's quick enough to know I've already beamed all of my intel to her hard drive. She'll alert everyone she can, which means everyone. So I just love that they don't make Commissioner Gordon feel dumb trying to keep the fact that she is Oracle. And so we start to see everything that is happening between the fight with Aquaman, the fight with the Martian Manhunter, and you start to feel like it's not enough because we start to see more iconic members of the Justice League rise from the dead. Sorry, guys, I'm still kicking a cough. Anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this comic book or this series so far, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to grab your comics and action figures and grab this series, either the singles or the collected trade. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Black Lantern bell next to subscribe, that way we can upload content, you guys get notified. come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.